Have you ever wondered why popcorn doesn't just cook? You put a tiny yellow kernel into a hot pan, wait a few minutes, and suddenly, boom! It turns into something 5 times its size. So what exactly is happening inside that tiny kernel? Well, the secret isn't the corn itself, it's water. Yep, that tiny rock-hard popcorn kernel is secretly carrying a microscopic amount of water inside it. And this is where things get interesting. Inside the kernel is a starchy material called endosperm, surrounded by a tough outer shell called the pericarp. Think of it as a tiny pressure cooker, except nobody gave it a pressure release valve. As you heat the kernel, the water inside starts turning into steam, and steam takes up much more space than liquid water. But the tough outer shell doesn't let that steam escape easily, so the pressure inside the kernel starts climbing and climbing and climbing. Basically, the popcorn kernel is sitting there thinking, this is fine. It is, in fact, not fine. At high enough temperatures, the pressure inside can reach roughly 9 atmospheres, about 9 times normal atmospheric pressure. And eventually, the shell can't take it anymore. Pop! The kernel bursts open. But here's the coolest part. The explosion doesn't just break the kernel apart. The sudden drop in pressure causes the superheated water inside to rapidly turn into steam and expand. That expansion pushes the soft, hot starch outward. The starch basically gets turned inside out, creating all those weird little fluffy shapes we call popcorn. And as the starch cools down, it hardens into the crunchy texture we know and love. So why doesn't every kernel pop? Because popcorn needs the right amount of moisture. Too little water, and there isn't enough steam pressure. A crack in the outer shell? The steam escapes before enough pressure builds. And if the kernel is too old or dried out? Congratulations, you've just created a tiny piece of corn whose only purpose in life is to sit at the bottom of the bowl and disappoint you. And there's another interesting detail. Not every type of corn can become popcorn. Popcorn comes from a specific variety of corn whose kernels have the right combination of hard outer shell, starch, and moisture to create this pressure explosion. So, the next time you're watching popcorn explode in the microwave, you're not just watching a snack being cooked. You're watching water, pressure, heat, and starch perform a tiny physics experiment inside a piece of corn, all for the privilege of getting covered in butter. And now, you know why popcorn pops. Like, share, and subscribe for more questions your brain randomly thinks about at 2 a.m.